Welcome everyone to episode 73 of the Stardom Cast. I am your host, I am your friend, I am Matt Turner. I hope everybody is doing fantastic today. I hope all the listeners, the friends and family of the Stardom Cast Army are going out there, kicking ass, taking names, living your dreams, and getting a little bit better every single day as we have a super fun show for you. And we are, you can hear it knocking. It's not the mailman. It's not the milkman. No, we are on the doorstep to the 5-star Grand Prix, just right around the corner as of this recording. Probably as you're listening to this, maybe you're watching it with listening to the little Uncle MT in the background talking about these last few shows. Obviously, the 5-star Grand Prix is the main course, and maybe the Stardom Cast is just the appetizer. But be that as it may, I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's super excited for the 5-star. Hope everybody enjoyed my review of the 5-star Grand Prix. And by all means, keep those tweets coming. Let me know who you think your surprises are going to be for the 5-star Grand Prix. So before we dive into the 3 shows I'm going to review, I'm just going to have a little sip of water for the working man here, just to keep things going. Okay, news-wise. Really not much news-wise in the world of Stardom, but a lot of news going on in the world of professional wrestling. And I understand this is not the WWE or WWF podcast. It is the Stardom Cast. But I kind of just want to touch on something, and trust me, I'll tie it all back into Stardom. Obviously, the giant news coming out of the wrestling world this week was Vince McMahon at age 77 finally retiring as the chairman of the WWE. You know, I think that everybody knows why Vince pretty much kind of had to step down, and I'm not going to get into all that. I'm not condoning anything that Vince did there, obviously. This is a positive podcast. I'm going to keep everything on the positive side. But there's an old saying that you're kind of a product of your environment. For example, for all my American listening fans that understand American football, my dad grew up in the 70s right outside Pittsburgh. So the biggest thing in his life for a decade was the steel curtain of the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, Mean Joe Green, Jack Ham, Mel Blanc, Jack Lambert, Terry Bradshaw, Franco Harris, etc., etc. I grew up, as we talk about on this podcast, in northeastern Pennsylvania in the 80s. 2 hours away from Philadelphia, about 2 hours away from New York City, about an hour away from Allentown, about an hour and a half away from Newark, New Jersey. The biggest thing on my TV, that's the backyard of the old WWF. Biggest thing on my TV was Hulk Hogan and WrestleMania. WrestleMania was always, even now I'm 40, WrestleMania is always a big deal to me. And that's Vince's brainchild. That whole entire thing with WrestleMania blowing up and Hulkamania and even the Attitude Era and everything. For the last 40 years, you've seen Vince, you've seen on your TV, and just the crazy expansion of professional wrestling, not only here in the States, but all across the world. That's all the brainchild of the genius that's Vince McMahon. So you got to give Vince a ton of credit for, what wrestling has become in the last 40 years. And for any of the listeners that are, in their 30s or 40s or in 50s, first of all, thank you, as always. Appreciate you supporting the podcast. But you understand what I mean, is that wrestling used to be just a territory system. You would have your East Coast, your Pacific Northwest, your Texas area, your Mid-South, your Florida, the whole nine. And Vince just took everything worldwide, literally worldwide. I mean, where he would go over to Japan and England and, take over everything there. So who knows what wrestling would be now in the year 2022 if it wasn't for the genius of that. It's Vince McMahon. Now, again, I'm not condoning, what Vince did. Again, we're going to keep everything on the positive side. But again, I'm going to tie everything into Stardom. Now with Vince stepping down, it was just announced just a day or two as of this recording, or before this recording, that Triple H will be taking over. And we've seen what Triple H was able to do with the 2 or 3 years he was head of NXT. Look at all the talent that he brought in, all the guys from Ring of Honor, your Roderick Strong, your Kyle O'Reilly, your Bobby Fish, your Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, etc., etc. But then, again, here's my tie into Stardom. Here's my segue into Stardom. Your Io Shirai. Kairi Sane, Hojo, Kairi, whatever you want to call it, or, whatever you want to call her. Right now, she's just Kairi. In the WWE, obviously, she's just Kairi Sane. And before that, in Stardom, she was Kairi Hojo. So, I guess this is the segment of the Io Shirai watch. There's been next to no news last 7 or 8 days on Io. Supposedly, she's got one foot out the door. We don't know. We know her contract is coming up soon. Is this a mad dash now that Triple H, now that he's in control, is this a mad dash for him to try to get Io back? Obviously, he was one of Triple H's big signees. When he signed her back in 2018, is it a mad dash to get Io back? About a year and a half ago, WWE sent a press release out saying we're not hiring independent wrestlers, we're not hiring overseas wrestlers. We're literally just anybody new that's going to come in our system. We're training them through our system. They're all athletes, and that's what you've seen. And it's you basically take. I'm an independent worker myself, and I have a lot of friends that moved down to Florida to try to train at the Performance Center to get a job with WWE, and they were pretty much told, "Nope, sorry, you're a professional wrestler. You basically have like a caution sign on you. Get out." Is that what Triple H is? He's going to go back signing independent talent from overseas? I think so. And now where does it begin? Actually, I don't know how Stardom contracts work, but where does it begin now with Triple H saying, okay, once he gets settled in this role, okay, we lost Kari, we lost Io. If Io, does come back to Japan for Stardom, we're all, we're all pretty much keeping our fingers crossed we see her back in the Stardom ring as soon as possible. But does he sit down and say, okay, let's see whose contract's coming up in Stardom? A Julia, a Tam, a Natsupoi, a Utami, some of these big stars. And, hey, they're going to be wrestling in front of, 12,000, 13,000 people in arenas every week, a couple million on TV. We could offer them big money, put them in the video game, the shirts, the merchandising, the action figures, yada, yada, yada. So that's where I'm kind of tying this on the Stardom thing is, let me know what you think. Do you think that once Triple H gets settled, is he going to go back to what he was doing with NXT, with just a bigger platform? The fact that he's going to be running Raw and SmackDown. Do you see him, starting to go over to Tokyo Joshi Pro, to Stardom, and start picking up some female talents there? So that's just something I think maybe that we should definitely be on the lookout for. So, and again, I don't know how the Stardom contracts work. If you guys do, please let me know. You know how to get a hold of me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and or the Twitter. So that's really about all the news segment that I have. So let's go into the shows. We have the two pay-per-views from this past weekend, the Midsummer Champion in Nagoya and the Stardom Showcase Volume 1. And I actually forgot up until maybe about an hour ago as I was prepping for the show that I did not get a chance to review the show from the 18th in Sapporo. So we got 3 reviews here, so let's just jump right into it. Match number 1 was Momo Kogo versus Lady C. This is a match that after it happened on Twitter and the internets, got a lot of buzz because they went to a 15-minute time limit draw. And a lot of people were kind of scratching their heads saying, why would you put 2 people that aren't in the 5-star? You know what? I'm going to back up here. We do have one more news segment. As of this morning, that Tekla, her injury is not going to heal properly, and she will not be able to wrestle in the 5-star Grand Prix, and Momo Kogo is going to take her place. First of all, I think it's a great replacement because I think Momo Kogo has really shown how much he's improved these last 6 or 7 weeks. Between this match with Lady C, which I'll get into in a minute. Obviously, that match which she had with Azumi at the Midsummer Champions show a few weeks ago, I thought absolutely stole the show. It was the sleeper match of the night. So I think that's a good replacement. As far as with Tekla being out of the 5-star, that's it's when you're in tournaments like that and you're wrestling constantly wrestling, and you have to wrestle hard every night. It's not like a tag or just a throwaway match. You really are trying to go out there and steal the show to rise your stock. That's not a tournament that you want to go in injured. I'm sure, these competitors in the 5-star, I'm sure next to no one's at 100% just for how hard they've been running and just, how well that they're doing, that their bodies are taking a beating. But when you're going in with a shoulder injury and a tricep injury that Tekla has, you're going to come out of this thing a lot worse, physically wise. So it's something that it's like, well, if she was to push it and maybe get cleared, and I think that's the thing. I don't think she got cleared. I don't think that if she wanted, would she be able to finish the 5-star? And even if she did, it would probably set her back. It'd probably set her back 6 or 7 months because she'd probably have to take more time off. So I know, first thing that you're thinking about is like, man, that stinks for Tekla. But in the long run, I think this is the best thing for her. I think going into the fall, you're going to see Tekla go on an absolute tear and see her happy and healthy for next year's 5-star, which I'm sure is going to be crazy loaded. I know we're a year away. But anyway, as usual, I get off track. Match number 1, Momo Kogo versus Lady C. I was a fan when I heard they gave these 2 ladies 15 minutes. I'm a big fan of Lady C, big fan of Momo Kogo. I think it was smart by Rossi Ogawa to give these ladies some time. Hey, let's go out there and see what they can do in a singles match. And there's no tag partners, there's no Utami, there's no Saya, there's no Mayu, there's no Hazuki, there's no Kogo. It's just the 2 of them, mano a mano, one-on-one for 15 minutes. And I thought they delivered. I was thoroughly impressed with this match. Momo, right from the start, tries for a high-speed offense, but Lady C uses her size to cut her off. Momo quickly goes for Lady C's legs to try to get some offense there. Really good pacing and selling from both these ladies. Lady C does a really good job working the Cobra Twist. She keeps going back to it. Momo gets out. She keeps going back to it. She's done a really good job getting that move over in her moveset. Momo shows really fire on fighting back on the bigger opponent here. Lady C just chops away and chopping away on Momo. Hits a big chokeslam for 2. At this point, the crowd is really building up into this match, really investing in the 2. Really good way to get this crowd going here. Momo counters a chokeslam into a Hurricanrana for 2. She hits a 619 DDT for 2. And then Momo hits the Nectar Peach as the time limit expires. 3 3/4 stars. I thought that was good booking to kind of have Momo on top here towards the end, especially now that she gets the 5-star berth. So she hit the 619 DDT and then Nectar Peach as the time limit expires. I thought that was smart. So if you were going to go on Judge's scorecard, I think maybe Momo had it here, but then again, at the same time, Lady C was really working in those submissions on her. But I thought it was terrific. Like I said, 3 3/4 stars. Match number 2 saw one of my favorite tag teams, upcoming tag teams, Pink Kabuki of Mina Shirakawa and Unagi from Cosmic Angels, taking on the team representing Stars, Hazuki and Saida. Chat battle between Unagi and Saida to start, and then Unagi boots Saida, and then it turns into the fantastic double team. They have Saida down, meaning Unagi start double teaming on Saida until Hazuki Mania comes in and runs wild. I think that's my new segment on this show. It's Hazuki Mania. It always seems in these tag matches that she always gets the hot tag and she comes in on fire. So Hazuki Mania comes in running wild. Boot scrapes for all. Hazuki and Mina have a really good throwdown, and then Unagi and Hazuki have a kickoff where they're basically just kicking each other back and forth. I thought that was really good, really cool segment there. Double tag out to Sai and Mina, and then to really get some really good double team moves from the Cosmic Angels team again. They do a really good job. Mina and Unagi, just all the Cosmic Angels do a really good job with double and triple teams, but we're really seeing Mina and Unagi really coming into their own. I'm real excited to see what they're going to do in this 5-star, and then coming out of the 5-star. I just, fingers crossed as we're getting towards the fall here, in the next few months, that the Goddess of Stardom tournament they do a good job building Mina and Unagi up, and they don't split them up. I think they're going to do Tam and Natsupoi as a team, and Mina and Unagi as another. I really hope that they don't split up the Mina Unagi team going in the 5-star. Anywho, Mina just piles on Saida. Big move after big move. 2 huge forearms, and then she hits that fantastic Insaguri, and she hits 2 glorious driver Minas back-to-back for the win. 14 minutes, 46 seconds, 3 3/4 stars for me on this one. Moving on to match number 3, we see the tag team representing Oedo Tai of Momo Watanabe, Ruaka, and Starlight Kid, 2/3 of the Artists of Stardom champions, taking on probably my favorite trio in all of Stardom, the Horsemen, for all you old school wrestling fans. Saya Kamatani, Utami Aishista, and Azumi. Starts with a brawl on the outside as Oedo Tai gets the jump, of course. Oh, that dirty Oedo Tai. Azumi gets thrown in. They get a small heat on her. Really good exchange with Momo on Azumi. And she basically takes over until Utami and Saida have enough of it. They see just enough on Azumi. Anytime Azumi would get a little bit up coming off the heat, Momo would just beat her down with kicks and then a little interference. And then the former tag team champions of Aphrodite, Saya, and Utami come to Azumi's aid. I thought that was really good. The tag champs, there's some really good solid exchanges with Utami and Momo. And then in parentheses, I even have, when are we going to finally get this match? When are we finally going to get this one-on-one match that we've been building towards since there was still snow on the ground? Which in Pennsylvania kind of still means April. But you know what I mean, since December with the turn. Starlight Kid and Saya Kamatani, they basically pick up where they left off at the pay-per-view a couple weeks ago. We kind of get a little mini match with that. And then we get some stuff with Ruaka and Azumi. Ruaka showing off a little bit of high speed here. I thought that was cool. So maybe that's a match they may entertain somewhere down the line after the 5-star. Queen's Quest uses some fantastic triple team moves on Ruaka, and Azumi uses the Azumi Sushi for the win at 11 minutes, 53 seconds, another 3 3/4 stars match. So 3 matches in a row, just right below 4 stars. So really good way to start this show. And then Queen's Quest challenges for Oedo Tai for the Artists of Stardom title belts if they are to retain after the pay-per-view, which, hey, we will get into that. And, spoilers, if you, spoilers are coming if you didn't see the 2 pay-per-view matches. So, obviously, that challenge will be coming down probably sometime after the 5-star, or in some of these matches, these 5-star shows that's a little bit late. Maybe they'll throw that on there, so who knows. Match number 4 saw the God's Eye team of Mirai, Amy Sori, and the World of Stardom champion Shuri taking on the team representing Donald Del Mundo, Julia, Micah, and Mai Sakurai, or you can say Micah and Oh My Julia. Fantastic start with Julia and Mirai. Some really good stuff there between, Mirai, the former Donald Del Mundo, part of Julia's, Donald Del Mundo faction. So a really good way to start that off, with the two of them going back and forth at each other. Really good tackle exchange with Micah and Amy Sori. I'm a big fan of that. Big fan of just the going back and forth, like whose will is going to break. So I always thought that's a really cool spot, and Micah and Amy do a really good job with it. Julia and Shuri, they get tagged out to Julia and Shuri, and they just tear it down. Just showing flashes of their championship match from back in March from the World Climax, and from what a lot of people thinking is going to be Shuri's next challenger. So a lot of people have Julia picked to win the 5-star, so maybe that's just a little tease that they're giving us there. They do double headbutts and basically double knockout. I thought that was really cool to end their heat segment. I thought it was really good. Double tag to Mai Sakurai and Mirai. They do a really good job showing Amy Sori and Mirai's tag spots, as this match is building, which is smart. You got the pay-per-view coming up. You have one of the main events, one of the title matches is Amy Sori and Mirai getting a tag title match. So I thought that was really good to where they put their tag stuff, their biggest stuff in the matches, just as the match was really reaching their crescendo. And it showed a really good job of just how good Mirai and Amy Sori can be together. So I thought that was really good, and hopefully, they're a team that they stay together for a while after the 5-star. Big superplex from Micah onto Mirai, followed up by the double elbow from Oh My Julia. Sprint with Micah and with Mirai and Mai Sakurai towards the end. Did a really good job highlighting Mai Sakurai here. Time limit draw. So we see 2 time limit draws on one show. Both matches were fantastic. So I am not going to complain. I had this at 4 stars. And thoroughly enjoyed it. We move on to the main event of Tam Nakano and Natsupoi taking on the team of Koguma and Mayu Iwatani representing the team of Stars. Double team from Tam and Natsupoi to get the early advantage on Koguma. I thought that was smart. This is you're trying to build Tam and Natsupoi up as a tag team, and Natsupoi is almost kind of like now the second in command of Cosmic Angels. So I thought that was a really good job that they're using tag team moves on Koguma, who is the tag team champion, one half of the tag team champions. So I thought that was really good psychology there to kind of, building up Tam and Natsupoi as a team. Mayu comes in and gets up on Natsupoi, and then we get some stuff with Tam and Mayu that stuff has not been settled yet. We're closing in on about a year and a half here. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. I mean, the last one-on-one match they had, they went to a 30-minute time limit draw, and we're still waiting to see when we're going to get that blow off. So, hopefully sometime after the 5. There's so many matches they can go to after the 5-star. It's ridiculous. Like, everyone's talking about how great the 5-star is going to be, and it is. I mean, on paper, I'm literally looking at my brackets and my paper. On paper, it's going to be fantastic, but there's still like a dozen dream matches coming out of it. And that's if we don't get Io Shirai coming back either. Oh, boy. Really good double team stuff from Stars. I am a big fan of Mayu and Koguma as a tag team. Obviously, Koguma and Hazuki, that's the team to go to. But I think Mayu and Koguma have some really, really good chemistry. So I thought a lot of that stuff was really good. Koguma and Natsupoi, they have really good chemistry together as well, as they've been in a handful of high-speed title matches. So some really good stuff, back and forth stuff we saw from there. Really, neither team really having a clear advantage. You'd have Natsupoi and Tam hit like 1 or 2 things, and then Mayu and Koguma would come and hit 1 or 2 things. So I thought that was really cool to see. Stereo dives into stereo German suplexes from Tam and Natsupoi. I thought that was cool. How they did the 2 dives, and then they pitched me back in the ring, and then hit the basically almost like a side waterfall German suplexes. As Tam and Natsupoi have fantastic bridges, and fantastic bridges build fantastic German suplexes. Koguma nearly rolls up on Natsupoi, but Tam breaks it up. Double super kicks, and then Poi hits Koguma with the fairy train. 19 minutes, 32 seconds. Another match that came close to the time limit here. I guess that's why we only had 5 matches, but 4 stars. So 2 matches at 4 stars, and 3 matches at 3 3/4 stars. So this was a solid match. Solid match that kind of whet the appetizer for the pay-per-views coming up. So, and that's what we're going to get into. So Stardom in Showcase Volume 1, or Numero Uno, as Azumi's finish will be called, or for all you Arnold Schwarzenegger Pumping Iron fans, that shirt he wore after he beat Lou Ferrigno for the Mr. Universe Championship. This is Arnold is Numero Uno. So I just watched this match today. Full disclosure, I had a super busy weekend. And I ordered the pay-per-view on Saturday, and I knew that I was probably watching maybe a little bit on Sunday morning and the rest on Sunday night. I was going to order the Stardom and Showcase pay-per-view, and then I'll get around to watching it when I can get around to watching it. Until I saw there was a disclaimer that it would only be up for about 4 or 5 hours after the viewing. I was away this weekend, about 200 some odd miles away, one way, for my basically quarterly Catch Wrestling camp at the Snakebit USA in New Jersey, which was brutal and fantastic. So I thought, well, there's no point in me spending this money on the show when by the time I get to it, it's going to be off. So I had to wait till it went up on Stardom World, which as of this recording, it went up, this morning. So just anybody that watched it on pay-per-view, I didn't see the entrances or anything that happened like after the bell rang, because it basically just faded to black, because I think with the music rights or whatever. So yeah, I just did these notes about 4 or 5 hours ago, and I still can't believe some of the stuff that I wrote. So obviously I went to the show with an open mind. I thought it was super fun, so let's just run through it, shall we? The Nagoya Rumble, I'm not going to go through everything here. I just don't have the time. And I thought it was super fun. There was a lot of star power in this thing. You had Mayu, you had Hazuki, you had a lot of really good star power in here. I thought one of the coolest spots was when Rina and Hina, where they basically cleared out the ring, and the two of them are throwing blows, and the next person coming down for the Rumble, of course, is Hannon. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So you had like a three-way brawl between the three sisters, basically a glimpse into the future, what Stardom will be in the next few years, where the three of them basically, they might be the new Three Musketeers or the new Freedom, which I have no problem with, because the three of them ladies, young ladies, are absolutely fantastic in the ring. So when we get the return of Gok and Death, I thought that was pretty cool too. I was like, oh, wait a minute, the many faces of Death. So we haven't seen that in a minute or two. Death rose up Miyu for the win. I thought it was cool how they had Miyu Yamasaki in the final two. So, giving her a little bit of rub. I thought that was pretty cool. Match number 3 was the Tower in Power over the top rope challenge match between Mike and Himeka versus Ami Sourei and Saya Ida. Obviously, this card got changed up a little bit because of the injuries to Utami and Natsupoi. Obviously, Tech was still out as well. So, basically, the rules of this match, you kind of just got to throw, your opponent over the top rope. Ami Sourei and Saya Ida get some good chops in to get the early advantage. Of course they do, Is there any two people in Japan chopping harder than Ami Sourei and Saya Ida? That's not Kenta Kobashi. Even though Kobashi's been retired about 10 years, I still think he's probably the hardest chopper in that country. So I thought that was cool. And I was like, oh man, if they ever, Saya Ida ever jump ship and goes to God's Eye, that would be, I like the Ami Sourei Mirai tag team, but I wouldn't complain if we get an Ami Saida tag match, tagging up against anybody else coming down, because you can just kind of just see, no, I chop harder. No, I chop harder. I thought that was pretty cool here. Saida and Micah basically have a lariat off, and it basically just ends with Micah hitting the rolling elbow, or rolling lariat, the discus lariat, and then dumping Ami over the top, or excuse me, Saya over the top rope. And it was like really short. Like after it happened, I was like, I looked at the time, like the clip on Stardom was like 7 minutes, 46 seconds. I was like, oh, kind of wish we had more time, because the match just really started building, and then the finish happened. So 3 stars. They worked hard. It was good. Like, I would love to see this match get double the time, 14, 15 minutes. Okay. Cosmic Rules match. Mina Versaki versus Unagi. Now, I did go into this with an open mind, and this match was fine because they basically told you what this match was going to be. I know maybe about a month or maybe 6 or 7 weeks ago, there was a 3-way with, I think it was Azumi, Unagi, and Koguma, and it turned into like 80% comedy and 20% wrestling. And I wasn't a fan of it just because of, like, you figure you get those 3 on paper, you're going to have a fantastic wrestling match. And I just, as always, if it's something I don't like it, that's it, move on, whatever. And I think I even ended with, hey, the crowd was into it, so good on that. I knew what I was getting into with this match. I knew I wasn't getting Funk Briscoe. I know I wasn't getting Misawa Kawada. I know I wasn't getting Steamboat Flair. I knew what I was getting into because they basically told you what it was going to be. I guess my biggest complaint with this match is they did promos or backstage segments with Mina and Unagi drinking beer. And then even the graphic had, remember Natsupoi was supposed to be in this match, even the graphic had a beer next to all 4 competitors. And there was no beer in this match. I'm a guy that likes to, sit down and watch some wrestling, or sit on my back porch on a hot summer's day and have a nice cold beer. There was no beer in this match. It's like, come on, you said this is what this match was going to be. It was going to be, funny and gimmicks and haha and hoo-hees and, PG-14. And we got all that, but like, you built this on beer. I didn't get any beer. But the weapons that included in this match included a fishnet, a serving tray, and a bunch of water guns. And then they used the water gun on the ref, which I immediately said, wait a minute. I don't know what it's cosmic rules. I don't know what the rules are exactly, but you know me. I don't like it when the ref gets abused. That should be a disqualification. Mina gets her. I can't believe I'm going to say this on the podcast. I can't. Mina takes her shirt off only for Saki to boot her in the head. That was a cool little spot. A good forearm exchange between the three members of this match. Again, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Unagi takes off Mina's top. Mina comes back into the ring wearing a towel. All three brawl and keep hitting the referee until my face is, hey, you got to follow the rules, until the referee's like, I had enough. And he throws it out. And I was like, that's a brilliant finish. You're kind of abusing the ref here. And I'm watching this match. I was literally going, and they should make a DQ. They should, as I'm joking and laughing, watching this match, having a fun time with it. And then they DQ him. I'm like, damn right. Respect your referees. Any independent wrestler that's out there that's listening to this, respect your referee. You don't see anybody punching an NBA official, do you? Or a linebacker taking a helmet off and trying to swing it at an NFL official, do you? Or for all you soccer fans out there, how many times have you seen the soccer player take his cleat off and try to stab the referee in the eye with it? Doesn't happen. I don't think it's happening, but I didn't rate this match. I laughed. I enjoyed it. I knew it was going to be. It was a good comedy match. But we go right from the comedy to serious business here. 2 words, I quit, as I'm going to butcher this name. Representing Prominence, Kumori Higari. I think I got it. Higari, taking on our World of Stardom champion, Shuri. I thought this match was fantastic. It was hard-hitting, right up my alley here. Complete 180 from the match we saw before. And this Stardom and Showcase had a little bit of everything, didn't Shuri gets the quick advantage, goes right into an armbar. Higari escapes to the outside. Shuri follows her right out, and after she starts kicking her into oblivion, and then locks on that rear naked choke I'm such a huge fan of. They spill back into the ring. Some really good stiff forearm exchanges between these two. Higari basically backs Shuri and almost like knocks Shuri out of the ring, out of the apron. She goes for another forearm, and Shuri locks in a beautiful armbar in the ropes. You can't call for a DQ because I quit here. Really, really smart. Higari gets out and then starts pummeling Shuri up the entranceway and basically picks her up like in a backbreaker, like the old Gino Hernandez backbreaker, old Hercules Hernandez backbreaker for all my 1980s wrestling fans. She just carries her up the back, and the two of them start pummeling each other. She locks her rear naked choke onto Shuri, but if anybody's going to know that counter, it's her. Shuri reverses the choke, chokes her unconscious. Can't say I quit if you're unconscious. Shuri, being the smartest wrestler in the room, dumps a bottle of water on her to revive her and starts hitting kick after kick after kick. Higari still won't quit, so Shuri picks her up on the shoulder and makes it look like she's going to give her the Ruin onto the ramp or off the ramp, and not unless she says she quits. Higari says, I had enough of this. She says, I quit. And Shuri, just being the badass she is, says, yeah, I don't care. You're representing Prominence. We don't like you. And slams her through the table to end. I thought this was great. Really, really solid stuff. And I was really impressed by Higari. 3 3/4 stars. Thought that was really good. Moving on to the match number 5. Falls Count Anywhere between 4 of my favorites, Tam Nakano, Koguma, Azumi, and Momo Watanabe. They get some high-speed stuff to start. Match builds to the outside, where Azumi, not to the outside, but even to all the way back to the catering area, where Azumi steals. I'm going to say she stole here. And I'm a big fan of Azumi. She's one of my favorite wrestlers in the world. And she's so lovable, but she steals like some frozen fish meals. She throws in the ring and she tries to suplex Momo Watanabe on there, and Momo says, absolutely not. She blocks it. Mazumi. Momo and Azumi have a really fun exchange back and forth. There's stuff together in this match. There's a lot of silly stuff that happened in this match. There's a lot of serious stuff that happened as well. And Momo and Azumi, former tag team partners, former Goddess of Stardom tag league champions, they still have a lot left that they have to settle. Their stuff here was really good. Really good. Eventually they call for Daichi to go for a dive. But Rina, she's just so mean. From Oedo Tai, pulls Daichi out. Again, you shouldn't be abusing the referee, but the only way this match could end is a fall counting anywhere. So it's no disqualification. So you cannot disqualify Momo here for having her fellow Oedo Tai member pull Daichi out of the ring. Koguma and Tam are doing roll-ups inside his inflatable bear. I believe that's what it was. And then next thing you know, they come out and they switch gear. Kokuma is in Tam's gear, and Tam's in Kokuma's gear. And I thought that was pretty funny. I thought that was something different. I was like, okay, I didn't see that. So you kind of have a serious match, infused with a little bit of comedy, infused with a little bit of seriousness, with four fantastic competitors that are making all this magic work. So I have no problem with this. They all wind up going for crazy dives, and then there's a pin attempt on the outside. I'm still trying to figure out who is pinning who because I'm confused with all the members of Oedo Tai out there and stars and whatnot, and the fact that Tam and Koguma have switched uniforms. But all I know is this pinfall on the outside is broken up with Azumi doing a double stomp from the top rope onto this pile of humanity. I thought that was really good. All three members brawl up to the ramp until Momo Watanabe decides, you know what, I'm just going to do a meteor onto every single person here. I thought that was really good. Momo is another note I didn't think I'd write. Momo and Azumi, who are broiled in this big feud that we're waiting to see the blow-off for, we're just holding our breaths for, as Azumi's one of the wrestlers of the year, and Momo's one of the best wrestlers on the planet. They're on this inflatable slide, and they have leg locks locked into each other. And then they slide down the slide. I thought that was terrific. And then, so you have this fun segment, you're kind of laughing, and they get up, and they just start lighting each other up with stiff forearms. So you go from ha-ha to serious. I mean, they're really laying into each other here. I mean, Azumi's striking her. I mean, we're all a big fan of her kicks. She's a really good kicker, but she was going forearm for forearm with Momo here. Something maybe to really look out for, maybe during the 5-star is, how good is Azumi's forearms going to be that may set up some of her offense. So maybe a little side note there, folks. So at this point, Tam winds up coming back down, and here comes Koguma. She's setting up for one of her giant dives. We've seen in the ladder match. We've seen in the cage match. This dive is a little bit further. However, it's all into a giant inflatable thing. And I don't know if it's planned or not, but she slips into the bouncy house, and you can literally see all four members of this match holding in their laughter. Eventually, Azumi says, I had enough of this. Picks up Koguma in her Tam outfit. It takes her back to the entranceway and gives her a snap suplex through the wall for the win. 3.5 stars. There was seriousness. There was comedy. And this was trickery. It's had a little bit of everything in here. So I thought that was real fun. Match number 7. The hardcore match with Oh My Julia. Julia and Mai Sakurai versus Risa Sera and Suzu Suzuki. To me, this was the best match of the show. This is the match that had the most heat going into it because it's basically kind of where they've been building this match up since Prominence a few months ago basically came onto the scene. And Mai Sakurai's trying to really prove herself to the leader down Del Mundo, to Julia, that she can do this hardcore stuff. And, I talk about it all the time on the show. Mai Sakurai, how much her stock has rise. I'm excited to see what she's going to do in the 5-star. And obviously Julia is going to be chasing, that red belt here as we get into the cooler months, the faller months. But I'm a huge fan of this Oh My Julia tag team. They're gelling really well together. I'm not going to go over every little thing here. I mean, this match it's worth its weight in gold. I mean, it's worth the, if you're just into hardcore wrestling, subscribe down to Stardom World for the $7 a month that it's going to be. And this match was well worth your $7. So just a couple, again, I'm not going to go into everything because there was a lot here. Just over the highlights of the match. Suzu Suzuki stacks a pile of bricks onto Julia, and then she basically chops him down onto her stomach. Julia comes back into the ring and runs wild and brings the cinder blocks back in the ring. She suplexes Risa Sera on them. Julia sets up the blocks onto a chair. She gives a drop toe hold onto Suzu Suzuki. There's another spot where the action spills to the outside where Suzuki pile drives Julia through a table onto the outside. Julia suplexes Suzu Suzuki through a table. It was a table basically like a platform that's got plastic forks sticking out of it. Folks, that can't feel good. Cannot feel good. Take a plastic fork and just kind of just lightly jab yourself with it. Imagine doing that from 12 feet above. Just these girls from Prominence are nuts. And not only that, but obviously the move is meant to damage Suzu, but Julia takes a lot of the brunt as well. Take it from someone who's done a zillion superplexes, sometimes through tables. I've done it on attacks too. It hurts you as well. So Julia took proper props to Julia, and props to Mai Sakurai. She was taking some bumps on the chairs and on the outside. May was getting her ass kicked here too. She was bumping all over the place as well. Suzu Suzuki, she suplexes Mai Sakurai off that giant ladder. That was a visual. They eventually wind up getting Julia out of the ring, and they hit Suzu hits a German suplex onto Mai Sakurai for the win. 4 stars. Hardcore wrestling has its place. I grew up in the ECW era. I can't even tell you how many ECW shows I've been to when I was in high school. Maybe the beginning part of in college until they folded. So I was a big fan of that stuff. A lot of it, it's kind of just because I think some of the stuff they do is maybe just over the top. And it's just stuff that I was like, wow, these people that are doing this hardcore stuff, it's just absolutely nuts. And it's just hard to keep up with. And God bless them for doing it as long as they're safe. But this, I think this really had its place. Like I said, that was solid. It was my favorite match of the night. We move on to the casket match. Saya Kamatani versus Starlight Kid versus the Grim Reaper. Right from the beginning, the mask comes off the Grim Reaper, which I thought was smart because, as you can see, there really wasn't much movement, and you probably can't see out of that mask. So instead of like doing the reveal towards the end and maybe somebody getting hurt because you can't breathe or see out of that mask, they do the reveal, and it's a wrestler I never heard of before. Y-U-U? I think I have that right. That is revealed as a Grim Reaper. The stuff I saw from her in this match was great. I thought she was solid. I think Saya and Starlight Kid did a good job bumping around for her, building and feeding towards her. So if that's what they were trying to go for, I mean, you literally had the two perfect dance partners to make this Grim Reaper character look really good in Saya Kamatani and Starlight Kid. I was a fan of Starlight Kid hits this beautiful Asai moonsault onto everybody. Big fan of when she does that. Reminds me of Ultimo Dragon, 96, 97. Saya does this really, really good dive off the coffin. I thought that was a really cool visual. Saya Kamatani, her high-flying stuff is, second to none. And then they did some, double teams, on the Grim Reaper U. They did a double moonsault at the same time. I thought that was really cool. But at the end, U just winds up getting just a huge advantage on both Saya and Starlight Kid. She pitches Saya into the coffin, and then she gives a last ride powerbomb onto Starlight Kid and throws her on top of Saya Kamatani for the win. Does that mean that U gets a shot at the Wonder of Stardom Championship and the Artist of Stardom Champion? Maybe with Dracula and Frankenstein. I don't know. Overall, good show. I do like it how this is. It's not in continuity. It's like New Blood. It's something completely different. And you can do gimmick matches here or there. And hey, if it's for you, great. For me, I got no problem with gimmick matches, especially with these competitors in it. Like I said, there was some stuff that was super serious. The hardcore match, that grip match. There was some stuff that was super, super over the top funny, like the Cosmic Rules match. And then there was some stuff that basically had a little mix of both the comedy and the serious stuff, like the False Count Anywhere match. Overall, I really enjoyed the Stardom Showcase. But let's get into the main event of this podcast as we're rolling right along here. And that is the Midsummer Champions in Nagoya, which took place on the 24th of July. I wet my beak here, get my water with my alpha brain, keeping myself laser focused and sharp for you fine folks at the Stardom Cast podcast world. First match had Hana and Saya Ida taking on Rina and Mai Sakurai. Really good stuff with Rina and Saya Ida. Hana's dropkick's really, really good. She basically comes in when she comes off that hot tag, coming in really, really good, on that dropkick. I thought that was really, really good. There was some really good stuff back and forth. Mai and Saya Ida really stiff each other. That was obviously the highlight of the match as we're building the two of them up going into the 5-star. And I thought it was weird. 10-minute time limit drop to start off pay-per-view. I thought it was kind of odd. But this match was just there. They worked hard. It was, I don't have really too much here. I was kind of a loss for words. Really good stuff with Mai Sakurai and Saya Ida was really good. Other than that, it was kind of just there. 3 stars. Moving on. Collect my thoughts and keep going here. Mayu Iwatani and Momo Kogo versus Ruaka and Fukin Death. You get your normal shenanigans from Fukin Death, and nobody sells it better than our lovable hero, Mayu. They get some small heat on Mayu, and then Mayu winds up firing back. Mayu and Momo Kogo hit the double 619 on Ruaka. And again, I talked a little bit ago how I'm such a huge fan of Mayu and Kogo teaming. But the last few podcasts, I was talking about how Mayu and Momo, that's kind of like the secondary team on Stars that almost my new go-to. I'm a big fan of Mayu and Momo, teaming. It just shows you how good Mayu is. Just such good chemistry with so many different opponents. I mean, we've seen it obviously with Kairi and Io. We've seen it with Saki Kashima as they were former tag team champions. We've seen her, she does great stuff with Hazuki, great stuff with Koguma, and now with Momo Kogo, who's only been with the promotion a few months. So it just really just shows you just to highlight how good Mayu is, both as a singles and a tag wrestler. Super Crucifix Bomb for the win. And this was an abrupt finish too. Let's go. I didn't see that. For the win, 3 1/4 stars. I think it was just basically kind of just that, Ruaka really didn't do too much here. Death got her usual comedy stuff in, a couple of roll-ups here or there, but I think it was just basically we're going to highlight Mayu and Momo Kogo, pick out 2 or 3 tag team moves you want to do and take it home. And that's kind of just what happened. So the first 2 matches for how solid, I'm not going to say they were bad, they weren't, but for how solid these pay-per-views have been, they're kind of just like there. Everybody worked hard and they got the crowd into it, and there's a lot of cool stuff happening. But I thought maybe they could have added a little more substance, but who knows? Maybe that's just me. We go to match number 3, and I thought this was interesting. They put the high speed championship matchup, this early on the card, and I actually, in the way this card built, I thought it was perfect because this was great. I thought this was fantastic. Azumi, the high speed champion, taking on Oedo Tai's Rina. Obviously, Rina requested this match after the last Midsummer Championship pay-per-view where she double stomped Azumi, and then the two of them had a profanity-laced promo. One's 19, one's 15. Come on, kids. Wash your mouth out with soap for all you Christmas Story fans out there. Anyway, Rina and Azumi, they start out with some really good high-speed offense. Azumi takes the advantage over after her Karana on the outside. Rina uses a chair and double knees. She uses a chair to get the advantage and then pitches Azumi into the ring, hits the double knees for 2. There's some really good high-speed strike-off stuff. I thought that was cool about how they were exchanging strikes with some high-speed offense, mixing that in. Azumi winds up winning the strike-off. Of course she does, because Azumi is a very underrated and fantastic striker. Azumi goes for the double stomp, and she gets suplexed off the top rope. And when she does, she basically rolls back through, and she comes back with an arm drag. Several near quick falls with Azumi escaping the Pink Devil. And it seems like very much in the Momo Kogo match from a couple weeks ago that Rina was like a step behind. Like she had Azumi really well scouted. She had a really well scouted, building towards the finish, that any quick move or quick fall that she was going to try to do, or like that quick high-speed offense, like Rina had some sort of counter for it. She gets the advantage on it. She goes for the Pink Devil, and Azumi escapes. She hits basically a backslide into the back bridge pin. She gets the win at 3 3/4 stars. Really good stuff. Again, I think this match maybe a little bit too short. I understand the high-speed matches. They're trying to go a little bit faster, but you're really trying to highlight Rina here. Obviously, Azumi is a made person here. I think maybe they would have given an extra 90 seconds to highlight Rina a little bit more. But be that as it may, 3 3/4 stars, and it's just another feather in the cap of Azumi of taking the people kind of on the lower tier card and putting them in high-speed matches, thus elevating them. So I thought this was probably Rina's best singles match. And 2 weeks ago, we saw Momo Kogo's best singles match, all with Azumi. So kudos on to Azumi. Kudos on to Stardom, mixing things up with the high-speed division. Rob and I talked at the beginning of this year that there was nobody in the high-speed division other than Azumi, Starlight Kid, Kogo, and Natsupoi. And you figured that they were going to be basically taking Natsupoi and Starlight Kid out of the high-speed division, because it's like, what more can you do? So I think this was good, how they're just mixing more and more talent into this division. So really good job there. Captain's Fall 3-way tag match. We have the tag team of representing Queen's Quest of Miyu Yamasaki, Lady C, and Hina versus the Cosmic Colors, Cosmic Angels team of Unagi, Mina Shirakawa, and Haraki, taking on the Prominence team of Haragi, Risa Sera, and Suzu Suzuki. I was practicing that for like 3 days. Haraki and Haragi. Again, I'm not going to go, but just because there's eliminations over the top rope and pinfalls, I'm just going to hit the highlights here. Some really good double team stuff from Cosmic Angels as usual, especially with Haraki. Looked really good with Mina and Unagi here, who again, I'm just a huge fan of their tag team stuff. But they hit really good tag team and triple team moves. So I thought like they looked really good there. Haragi hits a big lariat onto Lady C to eliminate her. Unagi looked really solid here with her strikes, basically going back and forth with the Prominence team, and all 3 of those women, Haraki, Risa Sera, and Suzu Suzuki, are 3 really hard hitters, and Unagi really held her own. I thought they was really smart when they were probably putting this match together and building this match, as they wanted to make Unagi look strong heading into the 5-star with her strikes, so she can hold her own, with the really good wrestlers, the really good strikers in her bracket. Risa Sera hits the air raid crash on Unagi, eliminates her, and then Mina and Haraki over the top rope on Haragi, and then Mina and Suzuki. It comes down to Mina and Suzu Suzuki. Some really good stuff there. Obviously, it's Captain's Fall, so Lady C representing Queen's Quest. She's the first person out. So that's it. Queen's Quest was eliminated, and Mina and Suzu's stuff was really, really good. I thought it was the highlight of the match. Mina striking. They do they do a really good job putting over Mina and Unagi striking here. I thought that was really, really smart. So I thought that was really smart. And also, Suzu Suzuki didn't get like a dominant win over Mina here. She basically had a cradle up Mina, which one kind of makes Mina look, strong. She didn't like take a huge like German suplex or anything like that. But 2, it's something now I'm broken record about saying about the 5-star, but it's the truth. Now it's like we're going to be looking at Suzu Suzuki has more than one weapon in her arsenal to winning matches at the 5-star. Now she's got this flash pin, this cradle that it seems like a lot of the wrestlers in Stardom have. They seem to adapt to and go to. So I thought that was really good there. You did a good job building up Mina and Unagi in this match. And then, of course, the Prominence team as well. So I had this one at 3.5 stars. Moving on to the Artist of Stardom champions. We had the team representing Donald Del Mundo, Julia, Maika, and Himeka taking on the R champions from Oedo Tai, Saki Kashima, Starlight Kid, and Momo Watanabe. Match starts off with Starlight Kid and Julia coming out on fire. I mean, these two do not like each other, and that's, if you've never seen a Stardom match before and you just put this one on, that's pretty evident. Like, ooh, there's some heat there. Tags back out to Momo and Himeka, and these two just light each other up. Love to see a one-on-one match, with a little bit above 10 minutes for these two, because they really lit each other up. I thought that was some good stuff. Himeka does a really good job on coming from behind. She's, for her being one of the stronger and taller and more powerful members of the Stardom roster. Like, when she's down and she's selling, like, you believe it. She does a really good job of that, and she does a really good job, like, firing back up. Especially on, and then it obviously makes sense when you have someone like Momo Watanabe, who, whenever she kicks you, it sounds like, a tree's hitting you, because she just has those big, powerful kicks. Tag out into Maika, then we get some stuff with Maika and Momo. When Maika comes in, she comes in running wild through Momo with some shoulder tackles and some power moves. Momo gets the advantage back with some stiff kicks, some really good triple team work from the champions. Julia gets in the ring. She gets beaten down by the tag team champions. I thought that was really good. You're focusing on the leader, Donald Del Mundo. How do we get the advantage? Do we do it 1? Do we do it 2? No, we do it 3 because we're the heels. So I thought that was some really smart psychology. Is when Julia comes in, she gets the advantage, but the only way to get the advantage back is by cheating and doing a 3-on-1. I thought that was really good. Julia gets back up on Saki. She goes for the glorious driver, but she gets rolled in the Kishikasai, which a lot of people thought that was the fall, but it wasn't. She kicks out. Julia and Saki trade strikes back and forth, and we can kind of tell this is going to come down to Julia and Saki. Julia catches Saki in the Gansuke roll. We've seen her beat her with that hold a couple weeks ago on a Road 2 show. So a lot of people thought that was going to be the finish. Starlight Kid pulls the ref out. Oh, that dirty Oedo tie. And I don't like it when you abuse the ref, but I thought this was well done here. Mike and Himeka, they've had enough of that Oedo tie BS. They lariat sandwich Starlight Kid. They lariat sandwich Momo Watanabe. There's one person left to do the lariat sandwich to, and that is to the deadly Saki Kashima, who is the leader, is the legal person. But as they go for the lariat sandwich, Saki pulls Julia in front. Starlight Kid and Momo pull Mike and Himeka out. Saki gets the 3 count on Julia with the Kishikasai. 3 3/4 stars. I thought it was a really good finish. Didn't see Julia taking the fall here. I think a lot of people figured that the champions would retain, and it would be the Kishikasai, the most dangerous move in all of Stardom, to get the win. But the fact that they got it on Julia, who is pegged on a lot of people to win the 5-star. So it was very interesting there, and I hope this is just like a one little boo-boo thing. I hope there isn't any more cracks in the armor that is Donald Del Mundo, because last year at this time, they were the strongest faction, and now we've just seen so many people leave. Obviously, Sherry wins the championship, takes Mirai with her, forms God's Eye. Now Natsupoi leaves the group, so it's like I hope we don't see a breakup with Micah and Himeka coming. At least not yet. I can see the two of them going off in their own factions, being the co-leader of another faction somewhere, but I'd like to see them, stay together underneath Julia and maybe get another, proper tag title run. So we shall see. Yeah, 3 3/4 stars. This match delivered again. This is another match that I thought that if they maybe gave another 3 or 4 minutes, I thought that maybe they would have stretched out. It would have went on paper. I'm thinking this is an easy, 4 1/4 star match. It was really good. Didn't get there, but I really liked the finish. I really liked, what they did there. Moving on to match number 6, our next championship match. We have FWC, the team of Hazuki and Koguma, the champions, taking on the challengers of Amisori and Mirai. This is a rematch from the show earlier in this month that went to a time limit draw. Challengers take the early advantage on Koguma by using some chops and some stiff offense. They slow down Koguma's high-speed pace using their power. Amisori and Mirai, two of the stronger and harder hitters in Stardom. Koguma uses a Koguma cutter, hot tag into Hazuki, and guess what happens, folks? Say it with me. Hazuki Mania runs wild. She comes in, big boots, boot scrapes for all. I thought that was some really, really good stuff there. Hazuki tags back in Koguma. Koguma comes back in. Koguma Mania runs a while a little bit, and then she gets cut off from Mirai and Amisori's tag team moves. Hazuki comes back in the ring to her trademark offense. She goes back in the crossface to slow Mirai down. I thought that was really good about how she kept going in these crossfaces and the psychology of trying to wear down Mirai's neck. That would obviously would set her up for two of her big moves, the Michinoku driver and the Brainbuster. Big strike exchange between Mirai and Hazuki. Eventually, the challengers slow down Hazuki by getting some double team moves in, and they get the advantage back. And then you kind of figure this is smart. You see this basically 3 times in this match, leading up into the back half of this match, that the challengers get the advantage of the champions, and the main reason why they do it is by using double team moves. Well, then now, how do we get the advantage back? Well, we're the best in the world. We have these belts. Let's utilize some of our tag stuff. So Hazuki and Koguma start utilizing some of their tag team offense, and they get the advantage back. Senton into the Michinoku driver on Ami, sorry for 2. Hazuki is just so desperate to get that Hazuki straw. They do a really good job building this Hazuki straw cradle up. She goes for it. She can't get it. She goes for it a second time. Ami winds up getting out of it. And then they finally start to slow Hazuki down with some more lariats back and forth. Koguma, at this point, is just kind of almost a non-factor because she's been taking so much abuse. She basically came in and kind of got the rest of her offense in with the tag team stuff to kind of aid Hazuki. But at this point, the champions are just eating lariats left and right. Huge lariats back and forth. It's not back and forth, but just some big lariats on a Hazuki. Emisar hits a BT bomb for 2. And then they wind up taking Koguma out for good and just pitch her out to the floor. And then instead of the lariat sandwich from that, like Mike and Hima could do, I thought this was really, really cool. Mirai throws that left-handed lariat. So Ami Sori throws a lariat from the right, and Mirai throws a left-handed lariat from the left-handed lariat, obviously from the left. And Hazuki does, as always, does a great job feeding for it and just eats the big lariat. Koguma starts to get up a little bit. Mirai takes her out. And you see Ami Sori, she's going for the Brainbuster. And if you've seen these Hazuki matches, you know one or two things are happening. Either we're going to have new champions, or Hazuki is going to pull her best Bret Hart out, and she's going to roll up Ami Sori. That's what she does. She counters the Brainbuster, Ami Sori's go-to finisher, into the Hazuki straw, 4 1/4 stars. The reason why I use that Bret Hart and Hazuki reference is Hazuki's reminded me a lot of Bret Hart. Like when Bret would win, when he would get on a roll towards the end of his matches, he had the Russian leg sweep, the backbreaker, the elbow drop from the second, the sharpshooter. He would chain a whole bunch of moves together to get the win. And you've seen Hazuki do that, using the crossface and then the brain buster and the Michinoku driver and the senton. And sometimes she'd change it up, maybe hit the senton and then maybe the brain buster for the win. But then you would see Bret, all of Survivor Series 95. Yes, I'm going to mention Diesel on this podcast. Remember Survivor Series 95, Diesel and Bret Hart. Diesel was beating on Bret. Bret was trying to come in the ring, and Diesel just shot-putted him through a table. And this is 95 outside of ECW and FMW. Table spots were very, very rare, especially on pay-per-view. So you see Bret just crawling into the ring, and Diesel goes to go finish him with his powerbomb, and Bret desperately rolls him up for the 3 count. So you see Hazuki do that quite a bit. I mean, we've seen her, she did it to win the tag titles the first time on Julia. And then when they lost the belts to Momo and Starlight Kid, they had the rematch. And Momo was just drilling Hazuki with Peach Sunrise after Peach Sunrise and was setting up for Peach Thunder. And Hazuki was able to wiggle out and hit the Hazuki Straw Cradle. So, all in the vein of Bret Hart, Hazuki is, I don't know if she's meaning to do it. And let me know if you see the similarities as well. But Hazuki's reminded me of a Bret Hart, a newer style of Bret Hart, which is the biggest compliment I can pay her. Obviously, I'm a huge Bret Hart fan. I'm a huge fan of Hazuki, and I'm super excited to see what she's going to do into the 5-star. Moving on to our co-main event, we have the Wonder Stardom champion, Saki, all capital letters from Colors, taking on one of our wrestlers of the year, your and mine and everybody's Wonder Stardom champion, Saya Kamatani. I was really excited to see this match just because I don't know too much about Saki. I only seen just the stuff in Stardom. Saya Kamatani is on, in my opinion, back-to-back 5-star matches for the Wonder Stardom Championship with Mirai and Starlight Kid, 2 of the best matches I've seen all year. So I was interested to see what she's going to do with somebody that I really don't know too much. And then again, Saki, she's coming out of this match, win, lose, or draw. She's got to go into the 5-star, that loaded 5-star tournament. So Excited to see how this one's going to go. Quick offense to start as the two go outside. Saki hits Saya with a Michinoku driver onto the floor. Good way to catch my attention. I don't know much about you. You're going to do some high-speed offense and then Michinoku driver, my champion, onto the floor? How dare you? Saki follows up with some nice submissions to try to slow Saya down, especially on her back, including a sharpshooter. I didn't even mean to do that. I'm at a Bret Hart reference, and then we go right into the sharpshooter. Saya Kamatani, her selling is really, really on point. I mentioned that Starlight Kid match, that the one thing that we don't pay attention enough to, or we give Saya Kamatani enough credit for, is her selling. Her selling was really, really good here, especially in this portion of the match. Saya Kamatani gets the advantage back with a Hurricanrana and then a beautiful springboard plancha onto the outside. And when she comes up, she's holding the back. Big fan of that. Fight through the pain, fighting spirit. Saki counters Saya with a beautiful superplex, followed by a slingshot suplex and a near fall, a la Tully Blanchard. That was a really cool spot. Pair of big boots. I've noticed that Saki throws a really good, when you're down on the ground, like this big pumping kick, like low angle kick. Big fan of. Saya cuts Saki off from the top rope with a top rope Hurricanrana, and these two start trading moves back and forth until Saki hits a Michinoku driver in the ring, and then she hits a corkscrew running suplex. She goes for the double knees but misses from the top. Saya, will take advantage from that, and she has a big pump kick from her as well. Boy, these two with their pump kicks, I tell you what, I think maybe they're just trying to be Hazuki. These two start selling exhaustion at this point. You have big move after big move. You have these big kicks to the head. They do a really good job at this point, bringing the crowd down, letting them breathe, because you're going to have a sprint here for the finish. Really good psychology, knowing when to sell, when to let them breathe, when to bring them back up. Back to the feet they go. We see stiff strike exchange between the two of them. Saya counters a brainbuster into a star crusher for 2, and then she follows up with the Phoenix Splash for the win. Really impressed with Saki, and I have this one at 4.5 stars. I figured this one would probably be around the 4-star mark just because how good Saya Kamatani is. And I know, knowing how good the booking of Stardom was, they weren't going to put Saya Kamatani title match against somebody that's not going to hold their own. But that's Saki did, and I'm really excited and really going to be looking forward to what she's going to do at the 5-star. I'm a big fan of that finish too. You have him down, pile him on. She hits the Star Crusher, gets a 2 count, goes to the top rope, and then she hits her nuclear finish, the Phoenix Splash. Moving on to the main event. Boy, howdy, this is the main event. Hold on one sec. Let's get a drink of water. You out there in Stardom Cast World, get a drink of Yoo-Hoo or beer. If you're of age, of course. And if you are of age, of course, or protein shake or whatever, because strap on in, folks, because this main event was something. Okay. Match number 8. Our main event for the World of Stardom champion. Tam Nakano, everybody's favorite. Everybody saying it's Tam time. She's coming off these 2 fantastic matches with Natsupoi. Had Natsupoi turn with her into Cosmic Angels. She's on the run of her life, taking on the World of Stardom champion, Shuri. The two of them exchanged like some kicks, just a little feeling out process, and some really good chain wrestling to start. And you see Shuri locking on a really big headlock. Really nice, tight headlock. High, tight headlock. And then Tam just dumps her right on her head. And then Shuri sells to the outside. She's trying to get up on the ring apron. And Tam hits this knee that basically sandwiches Shuri's head in between the knee and the post early on. So early on, the champion's down. And you have this really big fight feel going into this. And then you have the champions just basically gets hit with 2 bombs back to back, 90 seconds in. So it's like watching a heavyweight title fight or an MMA fight where the champion who's just been on an absolute roll gets rocked early on and everybody's on the edge of their seat. These two battle up the rampway. Shuri goes for the backpack double knees. Tam slips out the back, hits the schoolboy into the violent shooting, and then all of a sudden we see Tam disappear. And it just seems like Tam's just absolutely nuts when it comes to these big shows. I mean, just doing these crazy, crazy things. She's like I know a lot of my friends and my friends that work for AEW and watch AEW say Sting is the new Jack because he's always diving off stuff. I guess we'll say that Tam is the new Jack or Sting of Stardom, because Tam goes on top of the Tron and it's a dive. Holy jeepers. Jumping off the Tron onto Shuri, and then obviously, there was some members of Cosmic Angels and God's Eye there to catch her because you want to be safe. And I thought this was really cool that they teased a double count out here. We had this big dive, they let it settle. The ref takes his time counting. It was almost about a minute, but they got to let it get to 19. So they did a good job with the first falsie being a double count out. Tam doing a dive off the Tron. It's crazy. She's crazy. The two wind up brawling. They go back to the apron. and they're sitting on the apron and they're trading their sit-down kicks like they did during the press conference. And I thought they did a good job showing the press conference beforehand. It's like when they were building up the match, the two of them were sitting in chairs, kicking each other with heels on, which couldn't have been fun. As if you go back and watch this match and see the press conference, Rossy Ogawa is just watching his main eventers just kick each other in the face with heels on. He's just in the background saying, "Okay, I'm sitting here and count my money from this match because I hope that they made a lot of money because this match was fantastic. It really, really was." Sherry gets the better of the exchange because she's the better striker. Of course she is. And then starts booting Tam's head. At this point, this is Sherry's first real advantage of the match, and we're like halfway through. Tam tries for a few submissions, but if anybody's going to know the counter, it's going to be the shoot or Sherry. They trade kicks back and forth and some vicious, vicious headbutts. Sherry picks up Tam for the ruin. Tam counters, and Tam counters the ruin. She gets out. Excuse me, no, she doesn't counter the ruin. I'm sorry, I'm misreading my notes. Tam she eats the ruin and she kicks out a two, but she eats a nasty pump kick and she gets a near KO. I thought that was really, really cool. She gets her head kicked in real hard from Sherry, and Sherry goes to cover, and the ref is like, "No, I think she's out. I think she's out." Tam does a phenomenal job selling the glazed look on her face, like she is out. Once Tam gets up at 9, you can see like she's on rubbery legs. Sherry goes for a desperation kick. Tam gets out of the way and hits like this forearm clothesline, and then basically knocks Sherry down, for a little bit. And where you think maybe Sherry's gonna be knocked out. Tam locks in that leg choke submission that we've seen her do, with the high ride and the break fall. I thought that's really cool. I'd like to see her get a couple wins with that. I thought that was very well done, and maybe leading up to this match and some of those multi-person matches, maybe Tam gets a win or two with that, to build it up a little more. Be that as it may, Tam hits a beautiful tiger suplex for 2. Sherry kicks out. Sherry eats a spin kick, a buzzsaw kick, and then a punk kick of her own. And then she waits for Sherry to get back up, or not back up, but on her knees. It's a violent shooting for 2.99. So close. Big fan of that. So tiger suplex, again, I like it in these big matches where you're piling big moves. Tiger suplex, spin kick, buzzsaw kick, punk kick, violent shooting. So close. Tam trying to get Sherry for the violent screwdriver. She finally hits it. And I wasn't sure what was going to happen here. And if you remember when I did the review for her and the Sherry and the Momo match, my biggest complaint is when Momo hit that locomotion peach sunrise 3 in a row. She had Sherry right in the middle of the ring. After the ref count at 1, Sherry was staring right at the ref, knowing when to kick out. And it took me out of it for like a half a second. This was the complete opposite. Tam goes to cover Sherry as the ref is coming up for 2. Her eyes are closed. And I thought for a couple seconds that that's it. We're seeing a new champion. I was so convinced just by the way that Tam is just chaining these moves. Is this the way to beat the champion? I kind of have her on the ropes early, and then I hit tiger suplex, spin kick, buzzsaw kick, punk kick, violent shooting, and now the violent screwdriver. Is that the way to defeat the lady who hasn't had a singles loss in roughly about a year's time? Is by chaining all my big moves together. And I was literally sitting up on my seat. I thought we were seeing a new champion. Sherry kicks out at 2.999. So close. This is great. I mean, the crowd's really coming up for this. This is just great. Tam goes for the Twilight Dream. Sherry, in desperation, she goes to the ropes. She can't get anything locked to the ropes except for her mouth. Really cool visual there. She bikes the ropes to try to get the ref to break the hold. Tam, out of desperation, pulls Sherry off the ropes, but not far enough. She hits the Twilight Dream, but she's too close to the ropes. And Sherry gets her leg on the rope. Oh, if she would have just been a little more patient, just taken her a foot away, we may have seen a new champion. Great psychology, great storytelling. Tam starts blistering Sherry with kicks. Sherry fires up and fires back with some knee strikes and then a huge head kick. Both champion and challenger are down. The crowd is really, really coming up. It's anybody's match at this point. Strikes back and forth. Neither champion or challenger is backing down. You just see this fighting spirit from the two of them. Exactly what a big world title match should be. Just absolutely fantastic. This is the blueprint. This is how a big fight should go down. A big championship match should go down. Sherry hits a big German suplex and hits the Ruin for 2. She hits a big kick to Tam. Tam basically bridges back up, fires up, saying, "No, you better kill me if you want to keep this championship." And she basically does. She hits her the buzzsaw kick, which I thought was going to be the finish. Tam kicks out for 2, at 2. And again, I'm a big fan of piling on finishes. Sherry has Tam right where she wants her. Picks her up for the Vermilion World for the pinfall, the 1, 2, 3. I don't see how you can give this match anything less than 5 stars. Absolutely fantastic performance. Maybe Tam's best match of her career. Obviously, the 2 white belt matches with Saya are up there. A lot of people like the 2 matches from Natsupoi. With Natsupoi from just about a month or so ago. As far as Shuri's championship matches go, I mean, this is right up there with the Mayu. I mean, this, Mayu, Julia, Momo, I mean, they're all right there. I like this one better than the Momo. Maybe a little bit better than the Julia. I got to go back and watch the Mayu matches. I know that's kind of like a polarizing match, and I think it might be one that we'll do for our watch along for the Red Belt tier members, just to kind of refresh myself with that match. This was fantastic, absolutely fantastic, and I thought the post match promo was great. How Shuri had the belt on and Tam came over to it and was just holding it. Like, I was so close. So I know going into this match, a lot of folks were saying, well, you're kind of killing Tam's momentum going into the 5-star, because if she doesn't win, does anybody want to see a rematch here? Well, one, we're getting it. They're both in the same block. They're both in the Red Stars block. And does Tam win, and then she wins the tournament, and they do a rubber? I would have no problem seeing this match 2 more times this year. I'm easy going. You folks know me. I'm easy going. Tam for Shuri. This was absolutely fantastic. A great way. Great. The pay-per-view. The first couple matches was a little. I wish they would have gave a little more time. The Artist match was really good. Wish it would have given him a couple more minutes for those last 3 matches: the tag title match, the Wonder Stardom Championship match, and the Red Belt match. Absolutely fantastic. As far as my number 1 wrestler of the year, I keep going back and forth between Saya and Shuri. I think last time I recorded, I had Shuri going over, Saya over Shuri just a little bit, because I thought her championship defense with Starlight Kid was slightly better than Shuri's over Momo. And I think I'm just got to flip it again, just because I thought this was just fantastic. I think right now Shuri just barely beating Saya for the wrestler of the year. And I think we got to put Tam in like number 5 or number 6 position. Again, that's my opinion. You could like who you like. I think Tam is like, she was like right around the top 10 up until like her last 3 matches, the 2 at Natsupoi and this. But I think she's cracked like the top 5 or 6. So, and it's gonna be interesting seeing what's gonna come out of the 5 stars. So, well, that's it. I just looking at my timer here. I'm well over an hour. I'm trying to keep these podcasts around an hour. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to go through. Again, I hope everybody enjoys the 5 star. I mean, how can you not? I hope everybody is having a great time. They're having a great summer. You're being safe out there. You're staying positive. You're hitting your goals. Anything that I can do to help, any positive motivation you want to talk about, anything, comic books, movies, wrestling, Stardom, hey, please, let me know how I can help. Hit me up. The messages I get literally on an hourly basis from the fantastic listeners and friends and family of the Stardom cast. I can't say thank you enough. What keeps me motivated, what keeps me going, what keeps these fantastic ideas keep on going. The Patreon, the last watch along was just posted earlier this week, where it was the finals of the 2019 Tag League with Beef Priestley and Jamie Hayter versus Tam Nakano and Arisa Hoshinki. I'll be recording later in this week the next watch along. We're trying to get those up on Monday. So we're trying to get the watch alongs up on Monday and then the weekly podcast up on Friday. So mine and Sean's thing is start the week on Stardom and end the week on Stardom. Obviously, you get the $5 tier for the Patreon for the watch along for those Monday podcasts. And I know I'm running along, big thank you to Sean, as I'm sending him so much stuff. I just sent him yesterday the Arisa Hoshinki Wonder Stardom review retrospective. That should be in your play boxes, sometime soon, or it might even be up by the time you listen to this. I know I'm giving him a lot of stuff. And the last poll has closed. The August Patreon for our White Belt and Red Belt tier members will be Hana Kimura's 2019 5-star run. So I will be going through every single one of Hana Kimura's matches in the 5-star, reviewing them and rating them. That'll probably drop in about 2 or 3 weeks. And then by the end of August, the 2017 Tony Storm 5-star Grand Prix run will be there. So same concept. I'll be watching and reviewing every single one of Tony Storm's matches in the 5-star review. So, or in that 5-star run. So again, everyone, thank you so much. Like I said, any questions, comments, please let me know. And hope everybody has a great day, great weekend. We're enjoying the 5-star. Hey, stay active on Twitter. Tag me in some stuff. Tell me what matches you liked, you didn't like. Tell me who you think's going to be the MVP, who you think's going to impress you the most, and what matches you're really looking forward to. You know how to get a hold of me, Matt Turner OF on the Twitter and or the Instagram as well. So signing off for this week's episode of the Stardom Cast. Remember, we're all in this together, and everybody's different, everybody's special. Love you all. Have a great day and a great night.